See when the hot seaweed wasn't there yet.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Your Dad Learns StarCraft 2. This is going to feature Dreamcatcher against a Platinum Zerg opponent. I'm still unranked. By the name of Birdo. This is the last placement match of my series. So, in the upper left corner, your hero, your champion, your dad, playing Zerg the way that he does, against my opponent of the hour, Birdo, in blue, in the lower right hand corner. So right now, we both made some drones. Birdo just did an extractor trick, which is where you can start building an extractor because you use your workers to build buildings. It brings your supply down one into the reasonable limits of 13. You start building another drone, and then you cancel your extractor, giving you your worker back, and that sets you at 15 workers once your one worker is made. And you can start building an overlord then. As far as I know, it doesn't really set you... It doesn't make a significant impact on the game, as far as I know, throughout all levels of play. Really high level players do not do that every single game. Just, it's more of a preference. Sometimes you do it, sometimes you don't. Just depends how you're feeling. So, this is my viewpoint right now. And we'll speed up because we're just kind of going through the motions. I am making my second base. I've got an extractor going. I've got my spawning pool going. Birdo has started their second base. They have their pool and their extractor already. So they made those first, then made their base. I started my base, so it's coming live now. And now my other buildings are live. So I'm making some Zerglings for defense. I'm making my 2 queens. And I've got a drone going, and I'm making a roach warren. Pretty good timing. Birdo is making a baneling nest, which is a good idea. I didn't notice at the time, but generally, at this point in time in Zerg vs. Zerg, the early game is a lot of Zerglings and banelings fighting back and forth. So Birdo's going after my queen, running around to get a scout on my base. They see the roach warren, they see the double gas, and I'm just going to start... I think when they ran up here, I think they saw the spine crawlers and decided to just turn around. And their units got killed. But that's fine. They got scouting information they wanted. I just saw their guys running by. So they're just running around, checking for other bases, I believe. I sent these guys out to scout and see what Birdo has. Which happens pretty well. That Zergling doesn't get out. But I see the baneling nest. I see the spawning pool. I see they have the second base. I see they're on 3 gas. But I don't react to the baneling nest, really. I'm making 9 roaches. My opponent's making a queen. Just finished a hydralisk den, I believe. And I'm just finishing my hydralisk den. And let's make some tech. I'm making my infestation pit. Making my 2 Evo chambers right now. And this is kind of the same mistake that I made last time, is that I'm making an infestation pit so that I can make a hive before I've even started my level 1 upgrades. And I also only have 2 gas I'm going off of. So I'm not flooding myself with gas or anything. I'm going for a really high gas comp, or composition, because I want upgrades, I want roaches, I want hydralisks, I want everything with gas, and I'm actually making a spire. Another scout found one of their bases, because I have Zergling sitting here, I had one sitting over here, a couple here, so I know when they expand. So I know they took a third, and that means I should be thinking about, hey, maybe I should take a third too. And they just cleared out the Zergling over here because they could see it on their creep. So I should be thinking about taking a third. I'm making a couple extractors, get the gas income up. I also made a spire, so apparently I'm thinking about making Mutilisks as well. Maybe upgrading and making Broodlords at some point. But main thing to take right now is I've got not a lot of gas. They have a lot more because they, earlier in the game, were on 3 extractors. I'm just getting on 4. I went from 2 to 4, so I haven't been banking gas, but I have a really gas-expensive composition. I should have been mining this earlier. And I've started upgrades. At least I've started attack and defense upgrades. My opponent has not. And I'm making some Mutilisks. Now, Mutilisks aren't bad. They're good hidden run type units. They're really not the best in straight up fights, but they're really fast, they're agile, and their attack bounces from unit to unit for a couple bounces. So they're good at getting into a mineral line, dealing damage. So I've got a 3rd base, and I'm just starting to put units on it. It just came up. So I did expand, but I expanded kind of late. Kind of like compared to when I saw my opponent expand. And if we look, I just made my 3rd. They're 2/3 of the way through making their 4th. So they're expanding faster than me. Here comes my Zerglings looking for bases. If I went from the other side of the map, it would have been so much better, because I would have just walked into this naked base, I would have killed it. That could have helped a lot. Instead, I walked in, killed some creep tumors, ran around this way, and if you look at their vision, they can see me the whole time I'm on their creep. So they see this attack coming in, and for some reason, I go up here first, and I wait outside their creep. They can't see me. But now I come in, but they've massed their army here. There's no surprise anymore, and there's banelings. And look, that's why banelings are used in Zerg vs. Zerg. They explode for 20 damage versus light units 35 damage. Zerglings have 35 health. So if they're not armored, a baneling just takes them out. Or the banelings upgraded, they just take out Zerglings. That's why they're used so much in Zerg vs. Zerg fights. So, during all this, we've been making units. My opponent actually has 37 Hydralisks. 37. Compared to this eclectic army I have, 2 Ravagers, 7 Roaches, 15 Mutilisks. Remember, Mutilisks get destroyed by Hydralisks, unless you have overwhelming amounts. 1 Hydralisk, and 18 Zerglings. I also have 41 drones to their 67, and they've got an extra base, so they have more larvae. They have 19, which means they're stockpiling. They're not reusing it effectively or efficiently. I've got 8. So I'm at least using my larvae. Don't have a macro hatch. And now I'm starting my Greater Spire and Lurker Den. So basically, right now, they're all starting their Tier 2 upgrades. I'm still on Tier 1. Got that hive, but still on Tier 1 upgrades, because I did not start mining gas quick enough. So, mostly what I've been doing, I've been making a lot of tech, but I haven't been making units behind it. If they just attacked with their entire army, I would be killed right now. I just can't defend it. So, here's my Mutalisk attack. This actually goes pretty well. I destroy 2 spine crawlers, fly away, and then these guys are so fast, I just fly by, and I start picking off overlords. I stopped to fight this boar crawler for some reason. I should have just kept going by it. But I pick off overlords, I get them below the supply cap amount, and I start picking off some workers. And now I'm just kind of stuck in their base, and they've surrounded. I lose all my Mutilisks. But I did some damage. I should have tried getting the outer bases, if I could. Although they've got a lot of spore crawlers. But I at least did some damage. Now, I've gone up to 4 bases finally. My opponent's on 4 bases. But like I mentioned before, they still have a lot more units than me. So if they'd attacked earlier, they could just giving overwhelming amounts. Right now, they finally started attacking, but I have 3 lurkers. And they didn't bring an overmind. They didn't bring anything that can actually see my lurkers. So they're being a little timid. They're making 3 overseers, not overmind, overseers. Because they want to actually come in and be able to see these lurkers and kill them. And they're now making a 5th base. I am producing 3 drones. Just trying to get drones in my bases, I suppose. I have 9 larvae, but I'm only making 3 drones. I'm not building any army. I have tons of money. So I'm not really sure what I'm doing at this point. Because I'm not spending in that money or larvae that I have. They're making upgrades. I'm still on tier 1 upgrades. So during this game, I just kind of mishandled a lot of things. I got so much money that was floating. I made 10 more mulisks, which, like I said, I didn't realize at the time, but mulisks don't do the damage that you need them to do. And now I'm getting swarmed. And here's my lurkers attacking. And my opponent can't see them right now. Their overseers are not far enough forward to see them. So they're actually getting shredded. Their army's getting destroyed by my lurkers. Which is actually good. But if we look, they're making 24 more hiders and 14 more banelings. They're basically rebuilding their entire army behind this. So they're able to remax and get to a critical amount of units before I can. They've already almost got the 200 supply cap. They're almost back at it. I've got almost half the forces they do. In army supply, I have less than half. So lurkers still doing good work, still killing things. Just barely holding them off. If they'd brought overseers with them, they probably would have taken the game right there. I caught some of their units just rallying, walking a weird way. But at this point, I'm finally starting my level 2 upgrades. So I'm way behind on upgrades, way behind on macro. My base is actually, my main base is all mined out. My second base is low. I lost my third, so I'm trying to rebuild it. This is effectively my only base. If I lose this, I've got a big bank. But if I lose this, I am kind of in a lot of trouble. So my broodlords get caught out, and they're slow moving. They get destroyed. They finally bring overseers. They kill my lurkers, the 3 of them I had. And now I'm just getting rolled right over. Like I said, they've got level 3 upgrades. I have level 1. They destroy that base. They start going through all my stuff, and I have no defense. I can't remax fast enough. So at this point, it's just over. And in a few seconds here, I'm pretty sure I throw in the GG, throw in the towel. And lots of this game just went down to a not quite build order, because my starting build order wasn't horrible, but I had a lot of clunky parts in it. I built a lot of technology before building much army. I didn't really start upgrades nearly as soon as I should have. And even doing that, I still got my level 1 upgrades faster than my opponent did. Which means if I'd been on top of them, I could have got my level 1 upgrades faster, which I did. I could have got level 2 upgrades quicker. I could have got level 3 upgrades quicker. I could have been that person attacking with level 3 upgraded units into their level 1, maybe level 2 upgraded units. I would have an advantage there. I didn't really expand much. I did end up expanding, getting 4 bases at one point, but it was pretty slow. I didn't make a lot of units, and I wasn't able to really push into their base too much. I did have a good Melisk attack, but honestly, that gas and mineral probably would have been better spent on roaches, ravagers, hydralisks, and some upgrades. And the other big thing that I did was I never reacted to the baneling nest. I didn't make my own banelings. I guess that's mainly it. I didn't make my own banelings. They didn't really attack with the banelings that much. They used them for defense. But I built a lot of zerglings and attacked with those. Even if I didn't want to build banelings, if I tried to max out on roaches don't do nearly as bad against banelings. Because they're not lightly armored. They have a lot of armor. They have more health. And while they don't have a really high amount of damage they don't have a real high DPS. At least not damage per second, like something like a Hydralisk does. They at least would be able to live through more than one baneling attack. So yeah, there were a lot of little things I did wrong in my, or did not optimally in my build order. There's a lot of tech I got probably sooner than I needed to. Some things worked out, like the lurkers did come in handy, the mulisks did get some work done. I could have controlled them better and not lost them as quickly and did more damage. But all in all, those things weren't really too bad. But my opponent just expanded and made bases and made units and made attacks and eventually made upgrades, which I stopped doing. So this is kind of another game where I got out macroed just like the last game that I played. And that's one of the things that after looking at the series that I could really take to heart is it's like, okay, I need to look at my build order. I need to choose something. I've kind of chosen Hydralisks at this point. So it's like I should just really get to nailing that down, really get to getting my upgrades on time, working out those little kinks, and work on expanding while making units. And that could really help my game out. So I don't remember, these were my first 5 games. At this point I'm more games into, I guess, my StarCraft career, if that makes sense. Kind of? I'm more games into this series. How's that sound? And I now do that stuff a little better, but I don't remember if, over my next 5 or 10 games, I really take that to heart or not. So, that's been my series. That's 3 wins, 2 losses, and that landed me in gold. I don't remember if it was low gold or mid gold, but it put me in gold somewhere. So yeah, that's better than I expected to land at for someone just starting out, and especially playing my first 5 games against people. Like I said, all of these have been ladder games. I have actually not played any casual games versus people. I've only done ladder ones. Ladder games and games versus the AI, and a small bit of the campaign. So, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to leave comments about things you liked, or things you'd like to see. Maybe things you'd like to see more of, or just different topics you might want me to look at. And until then, I've been your dad. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you next time.